fastest movable beast on the way.
Hello.
Hello.
How are we doing?
All right.
Not too bad.
It's
How are you?
been a while, boys.
It has. Yeah. It's been quite a while, to be fair.
I believe our last chat was Chaos Theory review after we watched the show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which was quite good. I enjoyed that. Matt's last one, he's trying to think when was our last time.
Yeah, he's just lost.
It's been so long, I actually can't remember.
Yeah. He's completely lost in the moment, isn't you? But there we go. So we are talking Jurassic World Rebirth.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So some news came out. When was it? Like a month ago? About
roughly.
I'd say the title and stuff came out like in the last sort of month, but I'd say less than that. Like sort of further back than that. We had we knew it was coming, and we knew obviously the confirmation of Scarlett Johansson being involved, and then all of a sudden it's just come around quite quick, hasn't it?
Yeah. So what, we've got under a year to its release.
That's crazy. That's mad.
Although,
do you know what's
at the end of Dominion would be this close to another Jurassic film?
I know,
yeah.
And especially when it all ends.
Yeah,
all of a sudden it's, which is we can discuss about that later. But you know, what made me laugh with all this is like how like everybody in there. Oh, hello, Rover. How you doing? How it just contradicts like the end of the marketing of Jurassic World Dominion. It's so strange. Like, if they knew that they were going to continue, I don't understand why they could have left it a bit more open rather than try and closure it. Eh?
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if, whilst through the filming during COVID, they were just thinking, you know what, we're not going to be able to deliver the film that we had promised, so let's just keep our options open for afterwards, but also bookend this film as the end of this trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't it kind of weird that obviously dinosaurs went mainstream on the mainland, and then that was meant to be Colin's sort of story, and then within 2 years of that film being released, up comes another film with a completely different synopsis and like direction. So what that tells me is that maybe they're using parts of what was going to be used in past films, like that's just laying around on the table for decades, and they're sort of using it to go into a film. Because obviously David cuts back from the original two, so maybe they're just using sort of elements from previous films and just smashing it together. And obviously Gareth Edwards has come on board to direct, and he's putting his own creative spin on it, and they're going with that. So because it is kind of weird that they would come in 2 years after Dominion and completely unravel what Colin sort of created, really. So it is a bit weird.
How did you feel about the Gareth Edwards news? Are you familiar with his films?
Yeah, I've watched Godzilla 2014 a number of times. I really like the Godzilla film. I think that with Kong Skull Island are probably the two best films in the entire sort of MonsterVerse franchise, if you like. I'm not too familiar with any other of his films, I've got to be honest, but when he was announced that he was doing Rebirth, obviously I went and watched Godzilla 2014 again, sort of refresh my memory, and I was just really impressed by sort of the way he shot that film.
Yeah, no, I like. I really enjoyed the Godzilla 14.
Yeah, it's great.
It had a few. Like one thing I thought, ironically, it's crazy that he's actually our director now. But I actually, at the time, I remember there was a scene with the military, and I was thinking the whole time while watching it, that this is so Jurassic. This would be perfect in a Jurassic film, and it's just it's brilliant in a way. I'm really glad that that's happened now, because I was really happy that he's now director. I think the way he sort of envisions films is kind of how is basically that. So I think it's perfect for the perfect fit.
I felt the same when I watched like Rogue One, because I was quite nervous about how he was going to handle Rogue One, and the way he made that film. When I was actually watching it, similar to what you said, I kind of found myself thinking he'd be a good director for Jurassic, just by watching the film and seeing the way he shoots and his cinematography and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the onboard of Gareth Edwards.
Yeah, I've only seen.
Edwards kind of reminds me of a modern day Spielberg in the way that he shoots his films. Like, think about what he did with Godzilla. He made Godzilla feel enormous, whereas other films previously and even movies since, they kind of all make Godzilla feel like he's just about average size. You don't get that size of scale like you did with Godzilla. And with Rogue One, considering we had the prequels, that was probably the first Star Wars film, for me anyway, that felt like a genuine continuation from the original trilogy. So for me, having Gareth in for the Jurassic franchise now, hopefully we should get something more in the vein of what we got from Jurassic Park and The Lost World, as opposed to anything that feels like a follow-on to the trilogy.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that the action sequences in the new film would be sort of along the lines of Jurassic Park, The Lost World, or even Jurassic Park 3, because I think, obviously, we've spoken about this in the past, especially me and James, about I have quite a few issues with how sort of the action sequences in Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom, especially Fallen Kingdom specifically, they just seem like too far-fetched, like right out there. And obviously, I'm hoping with Gareth Edwards being like on board, it'd be toned down a lot more to be a lot more realistic and slower paced and all that. So, like you take Muldoon's death, for example, how that played out, sort of along those sort of lines.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be a bit grittier with him directing as well. I think he's got that kind of style where he shows everything being a bit like Spielberg, as you say, did. Everything was used, everything was dirty and gritty, and it felt like it was in the world and not everything was brand spanking new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got nothing really to compare. I've only ever seen Rogue One, so I've not seen any of the other films. But the way he did Rogue One, I really did like it, and the way he made all that stuff was just, I was well happy.
Like, think what you like about, like, some Rogue One's not for everybody. Like, I really enjoy. I can appreciate the movie now more after watching Andor as a series on Disney Plus, and the love for that character. And I went back to watch Rogue One after, and I actually enjoyed that movie so much more than what I thought I would. And I'll tell you what it was. I think it's because until we got Rogue One, everything about Star Wars has been Jedi related, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was such a vast change, because up until that point, we also hadn't had any series from Disney Plus either. So I wasn't used to The Mandalorian, anything like that. So now I can see and I can appreciate the more human story as opposed to do you know what I mean? So that's
you're more tied to the backstory of it,
Yeah, the only thing I didn't like about Rogue One, though, that it was very, very slow to start, and get into the film. Yeah, which I'm hoping that we don't get for Jurassic. I hope it's action straight away.
So I don't think we will get that because he is a little bit of a storyteller. So I do think he might kind of go that route a little bit. But to be honest, he's not really got to tell too much of a story because the story's already been told with Dominion. It just depends on how much has been changed in that time.
Yeah, as long as we're not sitting there going, come on, I want to see some dinosaurs. I don't want to be sitting here.
But don't forget, we kind of got that with the first Jurassic Park as well. And that was going into a film where we didn't know anything about what the franchise was about. So hopefully, if it is going to be a slow burner it's going to be a slow burner in terms of whatever the plot device they're going to be addressing in this film. It's the anticipation lead up to that being executed, as opposed to, right, we just now want to see a dinosaur fight on screen for shit and giggles.
Yeah, the difference is, though, with Rogue One, you've already got a whole history of Star Wars. When Jurassic Park first came, we've had nothing like that film before. Yeah. So, and you don't mind having 15 minutes of dinosaur footage in a film that's never been like this before.
Any sequel is going to always want that, I know.
I wouldn't mind if it's like a slow burner or such, as long as the runtime's sufficient enough. I mean, if it's like an hour 30, hour and 45 minutes, you could possibly
I'll be pissed.
Then a slow burner would be like, oh Jesus Christ, we've only got like 45 minutes left of this film. You got to fit everything in. But if it's 2 hour 15 maybe, then maybe taking half hour, 40 minutes to really get into the action, it wouldn't be so bad because you've got over an hour to enjoy the action sequences and whatever they may entail.
Give me a Titanic runtime, I'll be well happy.
But then on the other hand,
the Rings runtime, I'll be buzzing.
You say this, right? But when I watch Dominion now, I think it's now, especially the extended version. As much as I like it, it's the better one. I actually feel like it feels exhausted too. So it does pace a bit odd. And just wanted to get onto this topic from Rover. It says, do you think Jurassic Park should have a prequel? I like the idea of a prequel, more so for World than Park, because I don't know whether it'd be interesting enough to go back before Hammond.
Don't know if there's enough information there for it.
No, and when there's no, I guess, novel, what's the word? Resources. I fear that people will get a bit too carried away with and make the story then a little bit like unrealistic. What is that noise in the background?
Sorry, it's my alarm. Just ignore it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you what would be good for this sort of thing, like a prequel, if it was like Jurassic Park, is a series rather than a film.
Yeah,
yeah. Because then you can even shorten it to like 6 episodes at about 50 minutes long.
You can really
you know what I actually like for that prequel series though, and I've been thinking about this for a while now. I would actually like to have a prequel series that is set in the timeline of the Jurassic World part being open, but having flashbacks to Hammond actually setting up Jurassic Park, so it gives you the layout of what eventually Jurassic World adopted and became leading up to that point.
Yeah, because you could even have Lockwood and Hammond's story of like when they first got the idea.
Exactly, yeah.
And at the basement of Lockwood's Manor, and then you could have how they split up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem with this, we've spoke about this though. The problem for me would be like you'd need the right actor, then you'd also need someone that I believe to be Hammond, and I feel like I just don't think there is. And
Ewan McGregor.
There's somebody out there that can do it.
Yeah. I would say as long as it's a young enough Hammond that we're not as trying to associate it as much with.
Otherwise, we're going to have the Jude Law situation with.
Yeah. You kind of want like a Professor Xavier sort of scenario, don't you? You want Patrick Stewart for the older version, and then you want what's his features for the younger version. So although it's the same character, there's 2 different actors portraying it, but you don't seem to mind it.
Yeah,
I mean, like it worked for Solo, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was enjoyable, and you didn't really have to go. That looks nothing like the Han Solo from the films.
I know, but what I'm saying is that we've not seen a young Hammond. We've only seen an old Hammond. So,
but we never saw a young Han Solo.
I was going to say we've never seen a young Solo or a young.
Yeah, but he doesn't look too similar from how he looked in just before A New Hope, though. He's not that much of a drastic change.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's 8 billion people in this world. Half of them are men, so I'm sure there's at least one person that can do it.
Yeah, but then they've got to find.
And failing that, just do AI and CGI his face in.
Oh God, no! If they do that, I will just abandon the fandom altogether.
Let's do it.
Right,
or just wear cardboard masks.
Anyway, we've gone way off topic. Let's talk about this new logo and new title. Initial thoughts straight away. I like it.
Yeah,
I do.
It's clean. It's crisp, isn't it?
Very Jurassic World Evolution, but but I do like the little sunrise on the background there.
Yeah, I was about to say the sunrise is reflective of the rebirth of the title. So this is the rebirth, the new day.
Graphic of it, like I love the way the logo looks. I think it's a weak title unless it explains something integral in the plot. For me, when I saw it the first time, I was just like, I'm not getting anything from that.
From what the plot's been released, it seems like it doesn't match what the title is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're talking about their dying off.
This to me feels like someone slapping on. We didn't like the World trilogy, therefore we're rebranding the franchise with new trilogy and we're starting off with Rebirth because we're rebranding.
Rebirth. That's Jurassic Hybrids.
And this is 100% confirmed the title of the film.
Yeah, this is the film.
Yeah,
that is it. 100%.
Because what they could do is do a title change last minute and say, "Only joking."
Yeah, well, I don't I think there's too much media out now for it. That's Rebirth.
Yeah. They've just not released the fact that Sigourney Weaver's in it, and we're going to have like human dinosaur hybrids.
Yeah.
Thing is that I fear that might even be coming, so I don't want to joke about that.
No, I don't want to.
I'm not looking forward to the day we get to see a Gallimimus with a John Hammond face on it. That's just going to be creepy look.
Mega.
I think that's the death of the franchise. I honestly do. Even if it's just one film, I think that would be it then. I think fans would be like, nah, no chance. We're not going to tolerate crap.
I do think if it was going to happen, it would have happened in animation form.
Yeah.
Or sort of test the waters a little bit.
Yeah, because I think you could, something like that in the animation, obviously in the Chaos Theory or the Camp Cretaceous, you can, like, people take it or leave it as canon. Whereas I think once it's established in a film, it's tarnished. Like, just look at Alien Resurrection. Like, I still enjoyed Alien Resurrection, but at the same time, it does feel like the laughing stock of the original three.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's things in it that are really like tongue in cheek, and you just think, would that really happen? Like, would she really like caress a xenomorph? You know, it's just silly. Like, that makes you just almost detach yourself from what these once were.
Yeah.
I mean, if they did go down that route, and I really hope they don't, because I think it'd be very stupid. I think self-sabotage really on their part. But if they did, how would they explain that to the audience? Like, what would their reasons be for creating dinosaur-human hybrids? I mean, why? I don't get it. Like, what
like Spider-Man, when it got bit by a T-Rex and turns into a dinosaur.
No, it's very thought-real.
As long as we stay away from making it too much like a Marvel film, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Keep it polar opposites of Marvel, and
I don't know Black Widow's in it.
Yeah.
But she's not playing that sort of character, is she?
No, I don't think she is. No, I mean, for me, all I want is a film that goes back to what captured Jurassic Park and what made Jurassic Park special. I don't want another Marvel. I don't want another bloody Fast and the Furious. I just want a Jurassic film. That's what I want.
That's what makes me think, you know, like when you were saying about, I don't know which one of you was talking about dinosaurs, and you don't want to be like an hour in and not see a dinosaur. However, then you might get another Malta situation on your hand, which Malta was okay, but then you've got, you know, Atrociraptors that are trained to kill people that can't kill people situation, and it just becomes a little bit more gimmicky. So I don't know, it's a very hard balance to find, especially for us lot, because we're so like set in our ways and miserable about what we want.
And to be fair, the mortal sim is the best part of Dominion.
Yeah, and that says a lot, doesn't it, really?
You see, now obviously they're calling it Rebirth, and that's what it is. I just need to kind of get on with it. But can you think of a better title at this stage?
It depends, really, because like I feel like Jurassic World Extinction is coming, but I don't think it's the right time to use it, because I think the word extinction makes you think like the end, and it could have two meanings. It could have the meaning of like the end of humanity, or it could be, you know, the end of the dinosaurs. Jurassic Apocalypse. Yeah. So like the end of a reign almost, and that makes sense for it to be the finale or like the final one in the trilogy. I don't know, but
don't get me wrong. We could end up watching the film and it makes sense, but at this point, we're looking
on the mainland itself. You know, they've been there for 5-6 years, and they've become extinct again on the mainland. And maybe we go back to what 97, where they literally only existed on 1 or 2 islands again. So that's what I'm taking. That's what I'm taking from the. If it does go down the extinction route, which, like James said, I actually think it will eventually. I think it will just mean that as we knew it on the mainland and on Nublar, for example, is no longer. They're extinct on those sort of locations.
Yeah,
we could go Dawn of Jurassic World and then go Rise of Jurassic World.
Oh, but War of Jurassic World.
Yeah, War of Jurassic World.
I do wonder whether this film's going to be made well enough to be standalone as well, because that's one thing that Jurassic World did very well. As much as it's not everyone's cup of tea in terms of tone. It's like very shiny, aesthetic, and new, bit more of a happier sort of coloration to it, which I think was great because it was exactly how I pictured a theme park being with dinosaurs in it. But but the way the movie sort of panned out, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, it's strong enough to survive on its own, without any sequels.
Yeah,
like the very
Dominion.
wasn't made. Jurassic World would still be just as good, because at the end of that film, Owen and Claire look at each other and they say, "So what do we do now?" And he says, "Stick together for survival." So, it kind of felt like a closure. It almost mirrored Jurassic Park with them escaping on the boat. Everything's okay. Everything's going to be all right now. And Jurassic World finished like that. So that's why I always will hold Jurassic World as being the best out of them 3 films, because it's good enough to stand alone, exactly like Jurassic Park did. It doesn't need a sequel, but they made it anyway. And they made it work, albeit story-wise, it's not for everybody, but they made it work.
I mean, originally, was it ever going to be a trilogy? I mean, I think
they made it a bit of a gamble. It was a gamble.
We'll see how it goes. See what the reception is from the fans and the general audience, and if it makes enough, which obviously it was always going
1.5 billion. Are they going to make another one?
Well received enough. Okay, then we talk sequel, then a third film. So I think Colin a lot with Rebirth, but is there any real?
Colin had already said from the start, didn't he, that this was always a trilogy story.
Yeah,
it was where he was going to get the green light to do the next 2.
Yeah, the worst thing that happened to Dominion is it made $1 billion. In the point of that we then now got more. However, I'll be also thankful for Dominion for making $1 billion. If this one is actually end up being much better.
Which I actually Dominion and go straight to this.
Yeah, I do think it won't be hard to bypass, if I'm honest.
Yeah, let's face it. As long as it does better than Borderlands movie, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
To be honest, I did think they was going to go with a name of like Jurassic World, like New Era, something like that.
Yeah,
because that was teased with Dominion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A lot.
What's that? Sorry.
A New Era.
Yeah, well, I would have gone with Jurassic Era as a new title rather than having a 4th film being under the Jurassic World title. I would have changed it, saying you've got Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, Jurassic Era as 3 separate trilogies, and this would be Jurassic Era Rebirth. So it feels like a whole new reboot, but it's a continuation of the story still. I don't understand why they went with Jurassic World. I really don't understand that.
But if they called it New Era, wouldn't that go against the synopsis for this film? Because obviously, a new era would mean everything's flourishing, and we got to deal with the fact that most things dying on it.
Well, does an era mean something's flourishing?
Or
does it? Or is it just a new point in time?
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, Matt. A Jurassic. If you were talking about the Cretaceous era, you'd expect everything around that world to be under the Cretaceous animals. So I get what you're saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah. It's James, is the next image the plot that you've got?
The next image is. I was going to go to that after, but I was going to go with the next title. So, what is the next banner? It was title and logo, which we've discussed. So it was going to be cast and characters. It's going to be the next one.
Okay. We'll move on to the plot after then.
Yeah, we'll do the plot next. But before we get on to that, let's have a quick break for 20 seconds. Yeah, so these are going to be the main characters of this film. Now, I only know one of them, two of them. She's Scarlett Johansson, because I've seen everything she's been in. And I can't remember how to say his name, but he's been in quite a few big title movies. The guy in the top right. Yeah. None of these other guys I know. Obviously, the kids are new actors and actresses. So,
do you not think the guy next to Scarlett looks a bit Orlando Bloomish?
He does in that photo.
Yeah.
He does in that photo a little bit, yeah. He looks very different to how he does in the screenshot of him and Scarlett in the grass with the glasses on. Because we'll get to what their characters play in a minute, but these two play a character where they're working together on the missions. And he is going to be their leader. And I think him and her, I believe, are a family for these two kids, or him and her. I don't know. They look a little bit mixed race of kids, to be fair. So it might be.
And he's got to be protagonist in the left on the bottom.
Yeah, one and two of these characters are they're going to be somewhere involved with that sort of style of the story, aren't they? But
yeah. So I'm just trying to see the middle guy. His name is Bekir Sylvain.
Okay.
And I can't really see what he's been in that we would all know.
What's he down as in the movie? Does he say his character name?
No, I don't think it does yet. Cast. Actually, it might do. No, it doesn't. It's blank.
So
the names we do have. Yeah, so names we do have, obviously Scarlett Johansson's Zora Bennett, Jonathan Bailey, Dr. Henry Loomis. Yep. So that is the guy to the right.
That's him.
Yep. The guy top right is Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, I've seen him in better stuff.
Mahershala.
Well butchered.
Yeah, and that's Duncan Kincaid.
Okay, so he's actually, I know he is their party leader, I believe.
I've seen him in something before, but I don't know what.
The guy next to him is Manuel Garcia Rolfo, and he's Ruben Delgado.
Okay.
And if we go to him, to the left.
Bottom left.
Yep. It's tough to see. These pictures are weird. So that might be Rupert Friend.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Yeah, Martin Krebs.
I'm pretty sure
woman to the right is...
So we've got two very attractive women in our cast. I like it.
Luna Blaze, and her name's Ruben in the film. And we've also got two Rubens, actually. So that other guy is David Iacano, and he plays Ruben as well.
Oh.
And I'm guessing that girl is Aldrina Miranda, but there's no picture.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably because she's a child actress.
Yeah.
Right. So, interesting. So,
okay.
It seems like the main bulk of the film is going to have a small cast. What is that? I've got an interference. Let me see who it is. Let me just mute you two for a second. He's free. And then just unmute when you want to talk.
Yeah. See
if it makes a difference. So we've got this is what excites me about going back to the old roots of having a smaller cast, because one thing that I think was really good about Jurassic Park was, and even Jurassic Park 3 to be fair, is that the cast on the island was small. So it was almost like it had like a Predator feel to it. Like in the film Predator, they all get killed off like one by one. Steve, I think it's your interference. Yeah, it is. I don't know why I'm getting interference from your. Oh no, it's not. It's Matt's. Yeah, that's better. Sorry, Matt. Yeah, I think one by one they get killed off, don't they? So you never know out of the cast members who's next. Only Arnold Schwarzenegger you knew were going to die. So, and in the new film Prey, it was a very, very similar situation, and I really loved that film. I thought it was really well made, and that was a very small cast, not a very big budget actually, but it done what it was meant to do really, really well, and it made me look forward to the next Prey sequel, because I don't think the Predator film before Prey was very well received. So the way it was sort of done, so they really sort of went back on themselves and redid it and made it look better. So I'm interested in seeing this small cast, and I think if these are the main characters in it, you've got your children in peril, you've got your family, so there's probably going to be, you know, 2 of these guys here are probably going to die, but I don't know which one's going to be. 2 of them's going to die. Odds are 2 of them will die. It won't be Scarlett because they're going to use her as the main. She's the new Chris Pratt to sell the tickets.
Unless they'd be really brave and kill her off.
They could do,
because they were never brave enough in any of these Jurassic films, like the later trilogies.
And it is David Koepp as screenwriter, so you know he's killed Muldoon, he's killed.
Yeah, it's got potential.
It's definitely like be nice if every single character felt like no one was safe. Like even
absolutely, that's what he's missing.
That is what's been missing from the last trilogy. Like Chris Pratt and obviously Bryce Dallas Howard, you knew they were never going to be killed off. It was just obvious. But it'd be nice for like all these characters to feel completely unsafe.
Yeah. So Rover says, "I hope Tim and Lex will return," and I'm like, no. I think we need to steer clear of having old characters return. It just it's not needed.
Although when Scarlett was announced, I was a bit nervous because I didn't know whether they were just putting a big name on it to attract the people, and I didn't know whether she'd fit in this universe kind of thing. But from what I've seen from screenshots and stuff, and whatever further think about it, it probably does fit pretty well. Actually, I think they're
going to give her a bit more of a feminine role rather than being, you know, this kick-ass. You know,
she's actually quite a flexible actress. To be honest,
very.
A lot of stuff I've seen her in, where she's going from action hero in one thing to calculated character in the next one, and then someone's really sympathetic and someone's really hard-edged and everything. So she's quite versatile.
2 of my favourite films that she's done is
anything that Chris Pratt, like, he's an action hero. He's an action hero. He's an action hero.
And he's a comedy actor as well, isn't he? So he's got that. He's got them lines. I think there's 2 films that I actually like of Scarlett that she's done, and one of them is called The Island with Ewan McGregor.
A sick film.
Brilliant film.
Yeah.
And the other one is called is with Matt Damon, and it was We Bought a Zoo, and she played a zookeeper.
Yeah,
and it shows 2
kind of
completely drastic range of characters compared to what we usually used to seeing her in, and that's obviously action-packed stuff, you know.
That's what I thought of when it kind of started changing my mind. Is I thought of like We Bought a Zoo and a role in that, and that's what made me think actually, you know what?
Yeah, no, I agree. So what do you think? So the guy next to Scarlett, he plays Dr.
Who did I say?
What was his name?
Zhivago.
Henry something.
Henry Loomis.
Henry Loomis. So he's the new paleontologist. What are your thoughts on that? On the fact that we got a paleontologist on another mission? Do you think he's going to survive?
Yeah, I think he's going to go extinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll keep him alive.
Yeah, it'd be good. Hopefully it's like, again, a lot of the Jurassic films have been sort of like a history lesson as well. So having the paleontologist on it, hopefully it's something that, you know, kids are going to watch it and learn as well, which is obviously always vital for the film.
Yeah, no, I think I wonder if they're going to go paleontologically accurate again. Well, they tried to with Dominion, didn't they? But I think the story was just, well, in my opinion, not amazingly great. It was almost like the ones that they did try and give the feathers didn't really get a fair shot at being in the limelight. That there was 3 shots which I loved. One was the Oviraptor in the prologue.
Yeah.
Brilliantly done. And there was obviously the one behind the scenes where it fights the Lystrosaurus and gets his head bitten off. And then the other feathered, Therizinosaurus, of course. That was amazingly done, to be fair. And the other one was the Morus Intrepidus, which was in the tank that Alan Grant bit the mouse, and then it was with the little girl at the end of the film.
Not the Pyroraptor, no.
No, I didn't like the scene the Pyroraptor was in, though. That's what I was getting at. But those 2 scenes were really well done. The Pyroraptor scene, I just didn't like. It just took. I just think the whole time, this is dumb. This is not. This wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Like it just wouldn't happen. I don't think, and I don't understand why it was alone as well. If it's meant to be, I don't know. There just was no there was no explanation with it, was it? It was just a random throw in. Yeah. Oh, by the way, we've included feathers now. This is what one looks like. It's now going to hunt you under the water in the ice. It just didn't really make sense to me. It was a bit silly. And I don't even want to talk about the slow motion shot when it comes out of the water. I remember me and Matt just looking. He was like, "Don't look." I was like, "No, I've got to look." You know, don't look.
Shocking.
But anyway, waffling on a tangent again. So we're going to go into the next part of the when we come back. We're going to talk about the plot and synopsis, which I'm really looking forward to doing. So see you in 20 seconds. We are back. So plot and synopsis of Jurassic World Rebirth. 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, the planet's ecology has proven largely inhospitable to dinosaurs. So all this roaming around, being with all our current animals, has decided that hasn't happened anymore, and they are starting to become extinct because of some said reason. Those remaining exist in isolated equatorial environments with climates resembling the one in which they once thrived. So for the younger audience, that is places close to the equator or in the center of the earth. Believe it or not, people won't know what that means. The three most colossal creatures within that tropical biosphere hold the key to the drug that will bring miraculous life-saving benefits to humankind. Johansson plays Zora Bennett, a skilled covert operations expert contracted to lead a team on a top-secret mission to secure a genetic material from the world's three most massive dinosaurs. So what are we thinking? Mosasaurus, Quetzalcoatlus, and Giga or something like that.
Yeah.
When Zora's operation intersects, it can't be the Giga, it's dead.
Yeah, but it can still get DNA from it.
Yeah.
Spinosaurus.
Spinosaurus, all right.
When Zora's operation intersects with a civilian family whose boating expedition was capsized by a marauding aquatic dinos. It says dinos though, and not dino, and it should be a marine reptile, but we will let that go.
Well, no, not necessarily.
They all find themselves stranded on an island where they came face to face with a sinister, shocking discovery that's been hidden from the world for decades. Bailey plays a paleontologist, Dr. Henry Loomis, with Ali as Zora's most trusted team leader. Duncan Kincaid. Others in the cast include Rupert Friend as Big Pharma representative Martin Krebs, and Manuel Garcia Rolfo as Ruben Delgado, the father of the shipwrecked civilian family. Okay, so that is where we land there. So let's start with the three colossal. Let's start with the plot main thing of the first thing. Those remaining exist in isolated equatorial environments. How did you first feel when you read that and knew about that?
Sounds like the books.
Yeah, it does. It does sound like the books.
Just sounds like we're going back to another island, and I'm kind of thinking, I hope that they don't just shoehorn another one of these islands in. Oh, what, we found another island with dinosaurs on it. Yeah. That was convenient.
I mean, there's 5 islands with dinosaurs on them.
That's what I'm hoping doesn't happen.
I think it's going to tell us that maybe a few species have fallen back into extinction already. And like Kris said, I hope they then just shoehorn in another random island. I hope it's one. If it's not Sorna, then maybe one of the 5 deaths that's obviously canonically in the franchise, not just some made-up island no one's heard of before, because it wouldn't make any sense.
It wouldn't, but also you've got to go back to The Lost World when Hammond says, "Thank God for Site B." Now they can't.
Kris is muted.
Unmute yourself.
Hold on.
Yeah, so sorry. just think it feels like in the Lost World when he said, "Oh, God for sake," they kind of put an island in there, and it kind of worked for the plot. But we can't do that again for another island because we kind of know, other than Jurassic World Evolution, that there's not too many dinosaurs on those other islands, so we don't in canon.
Yeah, but also in the Lost World, obviously they knew that the Synchromertas existed, and that InGen didn't they own all 5 islands?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
they
they
should explore one of these islands, shouldn't they?
Yeah. So
I think the fan base would be really happy, wouldn't they? If they did.
Yeah.
Personally,
You're saying like the 3 most colossal creatures within that tropical biosphere. So if it is Site B, then you may be right with the Spinosaurus.
Spino.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's
but
that Spinosaurus will appear in this film.
I think
then you got to look
waiting
at
for a way
is
to get it in for years, haven't they?
Yeah, but has the Spino been living for that long?
Well, look at Rexy. I mean,
yeah, but Rexy's had she's been in an enclosure, she's been treated, she's had all the medication. This has been a wild dinosaur.
Yeah, I get what you're saying though. It does seem a bit less plausible, but you know, if she, she's the
they can literally write it in any way they want.
If she's the only main predator on the actual island, because they've moved 2 T-Rexes over to Biosyn.
Yeah.
They've moved. Then you've got that's. Well, I don't buy that. That's the buck and the doe. I just because it doesn't really look like them. But if you use, if they were
already on that island getting the buck and the doe, why not get the Spinosaurus as well while you're there?
Yeah.
Maybe she's just too aggressive to capture. They just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part 3. Joe Johnston said that obviously they brought in a dinosaur, the Spinosaurus, that was capable of creating an extinction on the island. Maybe they're just bringing that into the.
You're going to run with that tagline almost.
They're the large carnivore on the island, so all the other Rexes, apart from the ones that maybe were taken away, he just killed, and then he became the dominant predator on the island, and there was nothing there to sort of rival it.
Because the second biggest predator on Sauna would be the Ceratosaurus.
Yeah.
After the T-Rex. So
they've been taken away.
It's not going to be any threat, is it, to a Spino? This comment here. I think I prefer this idea. I think this is where we've gone wrong with Dominion. I think they overestimated how almost it takes the fear factor out of originally I liked the idea of don't go in them woods over there because raptors are now in there. Yeah. However, it was so badly handled in that respect. I feel like they made the locusts seem more dangerous than the habitats of the animals because of the way Dominion then went into the Biosyn secluded jungle.
Yeah.
And that's where we got our fear from. So as much as you don't like the idea of these animals being put into a small area, I think these animals in a small area, confined, an island is hardly confined, but, you know, and no means of escape. Like in the real world, like, let's be frank, if there was a dinosaur outside, possibly not a massive colossal one, but a raptor, the one thing you're going to do is go inside a building.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas in a jungle, you're in their environment. You can't hide anywhere. So you naturally bring that fear factor back. That's what worked with the original 3 trilogy.
Yeah.
Like,
also,
you know,
wouldn't it make sense that a lot of the dinosaurs wouldn't be able to thrive on the mainland anyway? Because I look at it this way, herbivores are probably not going to be able to eat or adapt to the existing plant life. So therefore, it's not going to be able to sustain itself on that sort of like fauna these days. And then obviously the carnivores are not going to be able to survive everyday things that we see and hear every day now. So they're still hunting the herbivores, and if they're dying off, the carnivores are therefore going to die off.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the animals we've got now, like cows. If humans weren't here, cows would not survive.
Yeah,
exactly.
They would literally be extinct. So it would be the same with these herbivores.
So
I
understand the comment, but I think it makes complete sense that dinosaurs wouldn't thrive on.
Yeah. Let's go back. Let's go back, right, to the Lost World. There's a piece of dialogue in the Lost World, in the book as well, where Sarah Harding says to Ian Malcolm while they're walking through the forest, everything's lysine rich. These dinosaurs, the herbivores, eat the lysine-rich plants, the carnivores eat the herbivores, and then the cycle continues. Now, if these forests in North America and South America and away from the equatorial places haven't got these lysine things in because they stopped adding the lysine contingency in, these animals are being deprived something. It might make them last for a while, but after a while they start having these side effects from not having these things that they've been almost bred in from embryo and birth, and then they go seeking for it. And maybe some of the lysine-rich plants are in the equatorial areas, hence the islands. So that's where they thrive. And then we're going back on dialogue that we've used in the past as well. And also in the book, it does touch on this, that although in a negative way, it doesn't actually say it in a positive way. In the book, it says about how the population to carnivore to herbivore doesn't work. The balance is wrong. So they end up eating themselves out of into extinction in the end. But
not only that, when you think billions of years ago, and also millions of years ago, when the dinosaurs were roaming, the Earth's atmosphere was more oxygen rich anyway. So when they do come to like more urban areas, there's a lot more carbon dioxide, etc. The oxygen is a lot less. They're not going to survive as much as they would have they been like in the rainforest.
Yeah, 100%. And that's actually a really good point to almost back up why they should go into them areas.
Away from all the pollution.
So it says here the three most colossal creatures within the tropical biosphere. So that's telling me that the three colossal creatures are in that biosphere.
Yeah, but to me at the moment that doesn't make any sense because, like it says, because they hold the key to a drug that will bring miraculous life-saving benefits to humankind. But I know it's going to explain it why it's these particular three colossal creatures, and it's weird that it says creatures rather than just dinosaurs, so it makes me think the Moses in there. But, like when you think of like natural history for the most part, a lot of medical breakthroughs come from smaller animals instead of the larger ones.
But that wouldn't be fun watching them try and catch. Although actually, that would be brilliant watching them try and catch a compy.
There's one compy out of this 500 group that has got the key.
Absolutely be jokes. You've got to catch the red one.
Put the Benny Hill soundtrack behind it.
That would actually get me a bum on that seat, 100%.
I just say they'll probably explain it away why it's going to be these free ones, but it just seems a bit strange to me, that one.
So what, like, I don't want to sound like a bit of a dumbass here, but what the hell is a covert operations expert?
It's an operations expert that's very covert.
And he's really good at it.
Like
the fact that you don't know means that he's doing his job well.
Like, what is that? Just like, what is that as a job role?
I think you make it up to get a paycheck.
I mean, I'm being serious. I don't know what a covert operations expert is.
It's basically like a spy, isn't it?
In a way, yeah.
But
he's more like he's spy, but with more like a military background.
Yeah.
Right. So so it should be a good character, a good casting for that. I'm just trying to make heads or tails of what that. I don't know why it's used that language because it sounds very like professional. But I'm thinking if a kid reads that, I doubt they'll know what that means.
I think what's Fallen Kingdom.
I think what someone's done is that they've typed out what they want to say in ChatGPT, and this is what it spat out and said, "Yeah, we'll run with that."
They've used one of those things that the teachers use to write reports with. Twinkle. So she's contracted to lead a team on a top secret mission. So this top secret mission, is it based on the pharmaceutical things, based what we've just talked about before, or do you think it's something more darker, sinister?
I think it's based on the pharmaceutical aspect, but I think they stumble across something that's sinister on the island. Obviously, that's the hidden. decades, and I think that's what we're all good as. When they discover it, we discover it at the same time, and maybe that's what leads into the second film, maybe.
Yeah, I get that. My only thing is, you think if they was going to do it that way, they would have worded it as a contracted to lead a team on this mission rather than this top secret mission than preluded before. So for me, it's an ulterior motive. It's something else.
Yeah, so this is a side thing you're saying, yeah?
Yeah.
I wonder, and this is just me spitballing here, if this is
Cheers,
kind of
Jack.
like the precursor to something to do with the DX virus. Because if you've got a pharmaceutical company, they could go in saying, "Oh, we've found a cure for cancer on this particular genome from X dinosaur," and then from this, you've got the subplot of, right, they're trying to engineer a bioweapon for the military because that's what every of these bloody films seems to go for these days. Which then turns out to be the DX virus, which is the thing that is affecting not just animals but people as well, which is why they're looking for a cure, maybe.
Well, you've got also remember though. We've also got to remember that there is a family in this film, so there's going to at some point this family are going to meet up with our main cast.
Yeah,
and I don't know whether that's going to impact the main story. And before we actually get, like whether we get a situation where they've got to make a decision, they've got to, we're so close to getting it, but we have to leave it because we've got to save this family.
And I think that's Scarlett's character. I reckon she's going to have, obviously, she's contracted to go there, but when she stumbles across this family, I think her motives change. Think, right, human life comes first, and then whatever this mission is, it has to be abandoned, and therefore nothing's even taken from the dinosaurs. And maybe the second film will sort of go back to the island to maybe pick up on what the first film was trying to do before the family sort of.
That's a good way to make. It's a good way to make a trilogy because. I do think it's important that they do actually get what they need to get at least one or two of. I think you leave if you're going to leave and not quite get one, I think you leave just one of them out, which then you have to complete that course. But then obviously, there's nothing worse than not getting that closure at the end of a film that especially if it. What you don't want to be is you don't want the film to kind of fall on its face and then rely on a sequel to finish it because it won't get the numbers to go. So like I said, it needs to be good enough on its own to survive without needing a sequel. And if they do that, then I think we'll be all right. But then that would then require a third one to have been got. So. Where are we going? Where are we going with this? So the civilian family whose boating expedition was capsized by marauding aquatic dinosaurs. Now, this boating scene was filmed in Malta. Now, I don't know whether that was just, coincidence of them. They've got, Jurassic World have still got a bit of a lease there under contract. So they've got the area to use because they did it for Dominion and they're just making the most of that situation, or it's where does Malta fall? Does it fall on the? I know it's part of the European. It's not on the equator, is it?
No,
it's more European, isn't it?
It's like Greece way.
Yeah. That's not a story at all. So I do think maybe it's just for a filming location.
I think because it's got such a varied sort of climate, isn't it? It's a good place to film and very generic, and you can expand a lot onto it. So it's a good place to film.
It's an easy place to film because there's a lot of unused land that they can use without coming into too much issues.
Yeah, and the island's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a pretty place, and so I do think it might be nice aesthetically on screen as well.
Yeah,
so,
and it's just one of those places that you can reuse. You put a backdrop in, it could be
anywhere. You're right, it could be. And if they use those clever sort of way of filming, like them circular screens that they use for the Mandalorian, you can put that in there, can't you?
Yeah, exactly that.
Volumes.
So it says that they all find themselves stranded on an island where they come face to face with a sinister, shocking discovery that's been hidden from the world for decades.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Go back to that one, right? So hear me out. Go from a boating expedition that's capsized, right? They find themselves stranded on an island. Isn't that sort of partly what the Lost World was? We had a boat in the beginning where they went onto the island and the girl got attacked by the compies.
Yep.
And then there was an expedition to the island in the Lost World.
So you're thinking? So you think this might be the opening scene?
It could well be.
Yeah, that probably makes a lot of sense, to be honest.
Yeah.
But they did the same with Jurassic Park 3 as well. They literally had a boat get destroyed, and kid and an adult went on an island where they got sent out a team.
Expedition.
Well, that's chaos theory.
Led by Tim and Lex Murphy.
Yeah. And then Jurassic World, you know, that opening scene, we get a boat going on the island and went on the expedition.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the only ones that we haven't had a boat on is Jurassic Park.
The first film. Yeah. The very first one.
I guess a submarine counts as a boat.
And
yeah,
it was a what would you call it? Forklift truck.
Yeah.
Taking a raptor. So
that's it. And they're definitely not boats.
Do you know what? I never thought about that, Steve, until now. You might be onto something there. And if it isn't, it isn't. But it would make sense that because at some point, this main plot line, which I believe is probably the humankind saver thing, these plot lines have got to coincide with each other and meet and join. And that's where we're going to get that whole cast on Site B, if it's Site B, to face with this shocking discovery, which helps us move on to the filming in Thailand and the sort of the ruins aesthetic. Are we going to go almost tread on the Jurassic Park trespasser sort of era, sort of fan service with an explanation, obviously? What do you think?
I hope so.
Possibly.
I really hope so.
Yeah, I think
I'm
so.
hoping so.
Did you guys watch or play the game of Trespasser?
Yeah.
Seen it.
Yeah,
Like,
watch Clayton play it.
Never played it, though.
Yeah, I've watched Clayton play it as well. Yeah, so I've watched a lot. I've done a watch through. I never had a PC back in the day, so I never really had a game. I never played it. But the ancient ruins were very. It was a very interesting and very random addition to the game, actually, which made it it made that part of the story very different from obviously what we associate with the Lost World movie. But that island is so big, it'd be great to have something like that. And it also would be something nice to have new on one of them other 5 Death Islands. Like it would make that island specifically different. Maybe that's why they didn't build a park on the Matanceros or, for example, even Pena. Because on this other island of the 5 Deaths, there is a secret operation that's been going for 20 years. And it got abandoned, or that's where they've got some unique source material from. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to think of, or that's where something. I'm going really out here with this theory. Maybe something there is what caused the DX virus, so they've abandoned it and almost quarantined that island, and these people have then gone back there, and it's almost like a rescue mission. I don't know. I'm going well out.
Potentially.
Could this be the island where the human dino hybrids are, and that's why it's so top secret?
Don't even joke.
No, don't. I would lose my absolute. I would, honestly.
They find some embryos in a Coca-Cola tin.
I can already see it. This is what's going to happen.
I'd be
Steve. Steve will be at my left-hand side, probably, or my right. And I'll look at him and think, what the hell?
Do you know what it would be like, James? When we went to try and see the prequel, and we had to sit through Fast and Furious 9 or 10 or whatever it was. Our face through all of that film would be that.
Mate, that was the fun. What made me laugh about that is that we waited to the end credits as well, just to make sure they weren't showing it at the end.
Yeah.
And then we just looked at each other and laughed.
Yeah, got up, left, and then the video's on our channel. You can search it.
You had to laugh.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah,
So bad.
honestly.
But yeah, no. So interesting. This situation's been there for decades. So how many decades are we talking? 30? 3, sorry.
30 decades?
3 decades. So it goes back to the late 80s and 90s.
When was Hammond supposed to have set everything up with InGen? Was that the late 80s?
Yeah.
89 to 92, I would say Jurassic Park was built.
Right.
I can't remember exact law.
Talking maybe about 30, 40 odd years, maybe then?
I was going to say 30, 35, yeah.
It could be very well be Site C, because wasn't Jurassic Park 3 originally going to be Site C? Would have been
yeah.
So it could very well be Site C.
Could be, actually, to be fair. But Site C has been teased.
Yeah.
And how do we know that the Spinosaurus can't migrate to another island?
Yeah,
being semi-aquatic. I know it's a bit of a far reach. Take it or leave it.
What else might be far reach, but not outside the realm of impossibility? The Spinosaurus can actually reproduce asexually as well. If there's any Komodo dragon DNA in its sequence, then we already know that they can
talking of that,
use in captivity. So why not Spinosaur as well?
You may have just made me think there. Up here, hold on. Was capsized by marauding aquatic dinosaurs. So could that be a family of Spinosaurs?
Could be.
Well, that's what I said.
Otherwise, it could be aquatic, creatures. Reptiles. You'd say, okay, it's a Mosasaurus, but that could be one of the. Maybe it's led you to believe that could be the case. I think what's going to be funny is seeing what actually ends up happening, and us being so completely wrong and underwhelmed. What we're going to get is going to be so underwhelmed compared to our imagination.
It will basically be a couple of scuba divers with a shark fin on the back, and that's the aquatic dinosaur.
Right, guys, if you want to click that link after, that is where mine and Steve's for the Fast and Furious preview.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to, don't click it now because I want you to watch this stream, of course.
Good watch.
So
straight after.
Watch it after because it was quite funny. So I do think that there's a lot real positive things going about this plot. I do really like the idea of the pharmaceutical things, because it does blend in and link in with Dominion. Because at the start of Dominion and the Now This, is it Now This? No, that was the one after. That was the one before, wasn't it? What was the news bulletin thing? Is it Now This? I think it might be Now This.
Well, anyway, the one in Dominion.
Yeah, Dominion. They were talking about how the animals have pharmaceutical properties, and that's why Biosyn are a company that focuses on healing and helping mankind cure cancer and Alzheimer's. And to be honest, if Biosyn would have done that, they're InGen and no match, really. Yeah. Like, that's absolute genius. Like, why have they not always done that? Like, if these dinosaurs have Biosyn a genius, really, and obviously they had their dark, sinister side to their story. But if that's the way they're going with it, that makes sense to me. I'm happy with that, providing, the outcome being actually catastrophic. Because the one thing that I think went wrong with Dominion is the locusts weren't really shown to be as catastrophic as they should have been. So I was just thinking, it didn't really. I didn't feel like there was any element of danger to mankind at all in Dominion, or to any of the characters, because it was always in safety.
I would have been more concerned about the survival of mankind with the locusts if the locusts were actually eating people as well as the crops.
Yes.
All they seem to be doing,
yeah,
a minor inconvenience because they're big, oversized locusts. That's it.
Like if they would have killed them kids at the start of the film,
yeah,
then we're right. Okay, they're not messing around with this film instantly.
Yeah,
because if they've killed 2 children or they killed a whole family, they don't have to show it, do they? They can just say in the news. And on the evening news, a family have been killed by a swarm of locusts, sort of thing. And you're like, oh my God, okay, these things ain't messing about. So
instead, the newsline was people are now going without Weetabix because all the corn's got all the wheat's gone.
I know. And the more you say that, the funnier it sounds, the more ridiculous it sounds, doesn't it? And it just makes the whole thing more of a travesty that we got that. But never mind. Some people love it. Some people prefer that storyline to Jurassic World, which I'll never understand. But that's another story.
Yeah.
I think we should move on to our final topic, which will be the spoilers and links. So, if you haven't seen any of the stuff online, like the set photos and stuff like that, then obviously feel free to switch off now. But going forwards, we will be doing that. So, in 20 seconds time.
Yeah, but to switch off, you need to leave a like.
And also, click that. If you're going to switch off, actually, click that link in the chat to go to our other video that shows us our vlog of the day.
And I had it on the other screen, and honestly, I was cracking up.
See you in a minute.
And we're back.
We are back. What we're doing again? Oh yeah, links and spoilers. Right.
Yes.
So I have a couple of images which I'm going to show you now. Screen share. 1 second. There we go. Right. So first one is the Parasaurolophus skull, which I think it might be used as a stand-in, if I'm honest. However, it has got like blood splats on its head, so I think it's meant to be dead.
So that's the Dominion one, isn't it?
It's the Dominion Parasaurolophus, which I think was a really cool design. So I'm happy with that. And there's a zoomed out shot of it being dead on the floor right by that's in Thailand actually.
Yeah,
nice little water source in the jungle. I think that's a really nice setting actually.
Yeah,
I think it looks very easily sauna, doesn't it?
But to say, like the way it's been shot, it can be Costa Rica, it can be anything like that, can't it?
Yeah. And the way it's positioned, that is definitely a dead or a dying Parasaurolophus, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's definitely dead. Yeah.
What would your feelings be if it's a Dinosuchus?
I'd be happy with that.
I don't know. I think it still looks like a para.
Yeah. Oh, Kris is tonight.
Touche, Kris.
I would be quite happy if it was Dinosuchus, just on the basis of they had the Dinosuchus in the Lost World arcade game, and that was always like one of my favourite levels to shoot.
I'll tell you why I don't think it would be a Dinosuchus is because that's not how crocodiles eat their food.
Oh no, it'd be dragged fully.
It'd be dragged. It'd be drowned in the water and ripped to pieces with a death roll. So it wouldn't be in a whole piece for a start. Yeah. So I do think it's another form of death. But who knows?
I don't think it's been a dinosaur that's been attacked. I think there's going to be a scene that's going to be very early on in the movie, and maybe it's going to be on the mainland, and it's showing how dinosaurs aren't surviving, and this is the blood, a rotten corpse that's been there for a while. And they're showcasing that these dinosaurs just haven't been on the main.
Well, like just a carcass almost.
Parasaurs. Yeah. Well, it wouldn't make any sense for it to be on an island because it wasn't on an island. So how would it get there? I think this is a mainland shot.
Could well be, like some hikers have been like hiking through that part and come across it.
Yeah,
what would be mirroring actually? Do you remember in the novel of the Lost World where they found the dead para in the fishing trawler? It could be mimicking that sort of scenario where they found a dead para in an environment that they weren't expecting to find it.
I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
There's no reasons why they wouldn't be able to migrate across borders, but it depends on what the borders are like.
I suppose the issue we've got is with Dominion, they were shipped all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's no real restriction of where they are. You know, they could be put on an island. You know, Richard Branson might have bought a couple of paras and put it on his island.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's a very good argument. Very good argument.
But more believable, I'd definitely go with what Matt said. And this is definitely
an
on the mainland. Yeah, and it's because of this issue that they've got that these dinosaurs aren't surviving.
Yeah,
and maybe it's these that's why they need to go to the island to get the pharmaceutical DNA, because these dinosaurs are dying from a disease that has been passed on to humans. Hence, why they need to get this pharmaceutical DNA to create a cure, so humans aren't dying from a dinosaur disease, DX. So
yeah,
I'd love them to bring the DX disease in.
Yeah, I
really, really would.
Yeah, it makes sense for it to go in that direction. I was just going to say, that's Kenji's RV down in the background there. Maybe he's tired of parasites in his RV and he's actually gone and done something about it this time.
Yeah, I was going to say, or failing that, the parrot's just having a sleep in his tent and his tent's collapsed.
I couldn't work out what that was at the bottom of the parrot, like just below its tail.
There's a rock in it.
Is it
a rock? It's just a rock. It's a very old. It's a very old turd.
Yeah,
a very old turd.
This is the shot of the. This is what was making me think that scene.
Yeah,
with the screen.
Yeah.
He's filmed like The Mandalorian.
Well, that's general.
Do you see what I'm saying? That circular.
It's just blue screen, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what The Mandalorian's filmed on.
No.
It's on the volume.
On a volume with an LED screen, that's just general blue screen. So they'll remove that in post, as opposed to the volume where it's live.
Yeah, because that's what they had at Pinewood, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So this is filmed in like a pool by the looks of it.
Yeah.
And I've seen some drone footage, which I haven't got actually. I think you can actually find that on, I think Swerve or Best in Slot covered some footage on this, some sort of drone you could hear and action.
Yeah.
And there was like, bring him in. And it was like something like, that's why people were thinking that Spinosaurus was attacking the boat, because it was.
It wasn't like, here he comes, and then the attack.
Oh, here he comes. Yeah. And making the boat rock. So there is like a little sailing boat, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Little family sort of yacht almost.
So I'm very intrigued to see how they come into this situation, because surely they're like, how would the government, the Costa Rican government work in terms of, would they have a radar for boats getting too close? Because isn't that why dinosaurs were like an illegal paragliding company?
It all depends though, because a lot of these are done on like transponders, aren't they? So all you got to do is turn your transponders off, and then you're effectively blind from any radars.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And the guy was
would
his
family do that?
We went ahead with it, so it might be a case of that they were relying on visual tracking for taking off the island.
So I'm definitely, I can't wait for this film now, mate. Honestly, I feel like I'm more excited about this than I was when I was waiting for Dominion to come out.
Yeah,
and I think it's because it's just
refreshing, brand new, isn't it? Like different ideas.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to seeing a new cast with Scarlett Johansson as well. So
yeah. I mean, I think like you said there were like you're more excited for this one than Dominion. I think it's mainly because Jurassic World was like up here, and then Fallen Kingdom just down, and then Dominion down. You know, we need something to pick us back up.
Yeah. I've definitely got a more love for Fallen Kingdom now after Dominion.
I enjoy Fallen Kingdom.
However, it definitely isn't in my top 3. So top 4.
Yeah.
So this next image is very similar to this one. So it is different. However, there is a very similarity of the way that this is sort of structured like a nose with the nostrils and teeth.
Yeah.
So nose, nostrils, teeth. And then if you look at the next page, it's almost very similar.
Yeah.
Nose, nostrils, teeth. I don't know whether that's meant to be the same building or they've just taken that set photo of being actually a real life ruin on site and thought, I know, we'll use that idea.
Yeah.
Go with it in case we do use this and it's just part of the ruins. It's just like another one.
Yeah. Now, this could be the entrance to the ruins.
Yeah.
Gone with the
stairs up and they
Still
walk
think
through.
this is a set. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that is a set. I think that is actually.
Oh no! What I meant was like is that they're going to use it for filming. I didn't mean that they've made it.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
This feels like location.
That's at Sky Estuary Studios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to sit and make these sets.
I know I would. I know someone that does it. He works at Pinewood. He did. He made the last one of the cool things he made before wasn't Jurassic. He was working on the Batman, the latest Batman film with.
Oh right, yeah. I know what you mean.
And and before that, he made Newt Scamander's briefcase.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
He's a carpenter, but he went over to see Pinewood Studios when Fallen Kingdom was being built.
Yeah,
and he went and saw the T-Rex.
Nice.
While it was in that container. Yeah, so. I spoke to him actually. He said he's going to, if he gets any information that he can share, or he'll pass that on to me. But he's not working at Sky Estuary, so it's just who he knows.
Okay.
But I'd love to be involved with something like this.
Yeah.
It'd be
So
cool.
where in the world do you reckon this is going to be based? Because, like, obviously it feels Thailandy, but also very South American-y.
I still think it's Central America.
I think it's I do think we're going. I think the islands is a safe bet because I think that's the one thing about being on the mainland is it's too open. There's no. I don't know. I think that's what went wrong with these animals in the wild is that it was too. The safety was
too big. There wasn't enough danger. Wasn't scary.
No, and I think being in a secluded space. That's what worked with with all the original trilogy. There was no means of escape, was there?
Yeah.
You know, when you're on the mainland, you've got satellites and you've got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Jack's put looks like Southend.
Yeah. Not far off.
I'll tell you what's a good comparison between the Jurassic level of dinosaur interactions. Compare it to Planet of the Apes. You've got the first film where you've got a very human-populated world where the virus or whatever the hell it was that they released towards the end of the film started affecting humans. By the second film, you already started seeing the diminish of human population versus the apes population, and then by the third film, humanity was almost more or less wiped out. With the World Trilogy, you've got pretty much everything is as normal with dinosaurs. Second film, everything's as normal with dinosaurs. And then by the third film, everything's as normal but with dinosaurs. It doesn't feel like anything's actually changed. Whereas at least with the Apes trilogy, you kind of got that feeling that the apes are slowly starting to take over the world.
That whole film arc, I love.
Yeah, it works so well. And it's a shame that the World Trilogy couldn't adapt their own version of that because I think that would have saved it.
Yeah. And that's why I said to you earlier, can we not have Rise of Jurassic World, Dawn of Jurassic World?
War for Jurassic World.
Yeah. It's something along those lines.
Kingdom of Jurassic World.
Yeah. Just something. But so yeah, getting back to the sets. So very, like you said, Central American-y. What do you reckon is going to happen? Are they like, do you reckon we've got like a dinosaur hidden in this ruins or somewhere? And they've got like Indiana Jones style it?
I think this is very clearly different from the first photo. And this is clearly a cliff face. and you can see by the action mats that they're obviously meant to be climbing up this cliff face. It wouldn't surprise me, and I know it might be a bit out there, that this, obviously we know they're after 3 colossal creatures, and from what I've read on another synopsis thing with that, is a land, sea, and air creature. It wouldn't surprise me if they go down the route that this is like a pterosaur that's nested up there, so they have to go up there to get the DNA.
Or the Quets.
Yeah.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever.
Quetzal nest.
Yeah.
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 Otherwise, why would they
big enough for a Quetz?
What's that?
Is that big enough for a Quetz?
I would say no, actually, if I'm honest. However,
just look at the scale of the person.
But it doesn't mean they can't discover the cave on the way to the Quetzal nest.
Yeah.
Maybe this is where nothing to do with any of the animals, and this is where they discover that thing that's been, what's it called? What was the synopsis? For decades or something.
Yeah, the dark their secret. Yeah.
Where does it say? What one was it on? It said, there you go, been hidden. Yeah, shocking discovery. Yeah. Maybe there's a shocking discovery in there.
Maybe you find Mexican Muldoon.
Yeah, Mexican Muldoon. Or it's Ray Arnold.
I would love that.
Yeah.
It's Nedry.
Yeah.
Jack says, gives me a lot of the Arthur Conan Doyle's Lost World book vibes. I know Crichton was a big fan.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It also kind of gives me vibes for Son of Kong as well, where they discover the temple there as well.
Yeah,
that's a very similar sort of look to that. Actually.
Yeah, now that you said that, it is very like Kong style, isn't it?
Yeah. Which again would tie into the whole King Kong homages that have been in the previous films throughout the series franchise. So that makes sense.
How different is that from that? Oh, that is a little different. It is different, actually.
Yeah. Taking elements and maximize.
Yeah, it does seem like it's part of that, though. Almost like, you know, when you go to, like when I went to Chichen Itza in Mexico, there was like, it wasn't just a big bloody pyramid in the middle of like a jungle. There was other things. There were things leading up to it and around it. There was actually like a big area, and it literally just had pillars about 20 foot tall, and it was just pillars, and you could play hide and seek behind them because there was like just everywhere, and like loads of different random stuff that were used for other things. So, you know, these could all link together to make like one story point. I think that's going to be quite a fun part of the story, actually. Well, especially if it's just a few characters.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, actually, what's with the crash mats at the bottom there. So it's either going to be they're going to have to jump out of that onto the crash mats, or they're going to be falling from something in front of the cave mouth. So there's definitely going to be some kind of action sequence involved, because otherwise they wouldn't put the crash mats there.
Yeah, I think like Matt was saying, like,
they're just so health and safety conscious now these days that they've just got to put them there just to meet regulations, and they're just abseiling. Who knows? Like,
yeah.
But I like your excitement theory though.
Yeah, I was looking. If you look closely, like zoom right into the crash mat, and I think like Matt was saying, like they might be climbing up because they look like abseiling equipment.
Yeah.
You got your safety person holding.
I have seen a photo with somebody here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With ropes.
Yeah.
So I think he was climbing up. Would they not have a green screen or a blue screen on the bottom? Maybe, but
didn't they film
We could be taking this fully out of context, and these guys are just finishing up and painting.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, they're just abseiling up there because they've got to be on a harness to paint that little nook.
They've got Mike up there or something.
Hey, Bob, you've missed that brick over there.
Yeah. Oh crap! We've left the label on it. Left the price tag.
Shit! Oh, there's a potted plant. We better move that.
Oh yeah, no, leave the potted plant.
Who's left the coffee cup up there?
Yeah,
none of us even mentioned InGen.
No, we need to get let's go back.
Yeah.
There
so
is
who plays some kind of role in this
an
film.
InGen logo. Is that the InGen logo?
That looks like an InGen.
And that's definitely going to be one of the 5 deaths.
Yeah.
Because this is obviously on the island harbour.
Yeah.
So annoying, I can't make that out.
If you go up to the top of the
await,
there it says await rescue, which is interesting.
Oh yeah, await rescue. There we go.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't
await
find
rescue.
you wouldn't snap that
in here.
would you?
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, rescue craft here. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Come here.
I guess that could be Site B, where Hurricane Clarissa, and they slapped that on back in the 90s, saying await here for rescue. I mean, it would look a lot more aged, I've got to admit, but.
All right, and then zoom back out.
That's got to be for a. It's got to be for a T-Rex, right?
Yeah.
Although, if we see, right, are we all agreed that if we see a T-Rex in this one, we want to see the Red Rex?
Different one.
Something complete. We want to see the classic Red Rex mimic of the toy from Kenner.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that means mine will go up in value.
Yeah.
Anything but the fucking Jurassic Park Rex. I'm sick to death of seeing it now.
So I was literally just going to say, so where are we on the stance of Rexy? Because
she's dead.
Yeah.
she died. She died off screen.
To die.
But how much of an anti-climax death would that be? It'd be like, you know, the dinosaurs are dying out throughout the week, like from whatever through climate control, and that's how Rexy died. You know, she just died because of lysine deficiency.
Yeah. No.
Well, going back to the parasaur, maybe they'd do like a few shots where obviously we see the parasaur dead, and they go to a few other species that have died on the mainland, and maybe just the Rex would be one of them. Well, I know she's in Biosyn Valley, but maybe those dinosaurs there, because obviously everyone abandoned this, so they weren't being fed, and the herbivores would have eaten the trees out of our anyway. So,
quick question before we move on to this point that Allosaurus 1456 has made, because I actually do want to talk about Blue quickly. What dinosaur do you think they're looking at, or do you think they're actually just looking at a ruin? Like they've got to be looking. They look like they're
in his eyes.
What was a brachiosaur?
They look like they're looking
What's
at
in his glasses? What's in his glasses? Can you see?
Well, it's not going to be anything. I don't. Oh, hold on. Is that a Parasaurolophus?
It's Steven Spielberg sitting in his chair.
Yeah, I know, innit?
I mean, you wouldn't see any reflection of dinosaurs in his glasses anyway, because like it's just a pre-shot and it's CGI'd in after.
Unless it's a practical shot, though. Unless it's a practical dinosaur, you never know the hour standing.
You've just got to look at. So they're sort of bent down, aren't they? And they're not looking high up, so it can't be any high creature.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be a Stegosaurus.
Must be a
because
dinosaur.
we've had that.
No, I don't want it to be any average dinosaur. I want this to be one that they're either one that the fans are going to go mad at, like Spino, or it's going to be one of the colossal three.
I think it's a Herbie.
I'll say it's got to be a Herbie because they don't look concerned enough for it to be.
No, they look in wonder. They look a little bit like they've just seen a brachiosaur, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if it is that.
Could be a Juby brachiosaur, actually. We
Well,
might
it
have
could
one
be
of those
anything.
yet.
Like, no, we haven't. Actually, no, we haven't. Other than in like their animation stuff. Right. So sorry, I want to get back on this point. Blue. Now, Blue and Beta obviously finished the trilogy, like they've gone off into the wild. Now we're going to assume that she's going to protect Beta at all costs. She's meant to be the most intelligent animal on the planet. The most intelligent animal on the planet will not die out from extinction. It would likely move to an area where it's meant to be thriving. So that's why intelligent animals survive. So I don't think we've seen the last of Blue purely because of marketing reasons. I don't.
Yeah, we are.
I think she's too big of an animal. Or if they don't see Blue in this movie, I think at some point in the trilogy, she will become the missing piece in which brings it all together.
Possibly.
Oh,
But is it too much like Fallen Kingdom?
Yeah,
I agree. I'm not saying I want my theory. I'm just saying I agree, but they're all part of too much of something else, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like you can say that about all of them. Is Jurassic World just too much of Jurassic Park, but on a modern version?
Yeah.
Is The Lost World, is Fallen Kingdom just a newer take of The Lost World?
Well, let's face it, like, regardless of where Dominion was at the end, it's still an island. Regardless if it's an island surrounded by sea or mountains.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Allosaurus, I'd like to know why you would hate that. I'm not saying that I would love it by any means. It was just something that made me think because of what you said. I'm just trying to think of a plausible reason as to why Blue would be in this story still.
I don't know. I think they've just got to steer clear of all of that sort of stuff.
I think, I think they need. I agree.
Disney-fying it, basically.
I think they need to stay clear of everything that we've seen in the last trilogy, to be honest, other than the pharmaceutical reasons, which make sense.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we've got to think of why have they made this film full stop? Like,
to make £1 billion.
Other than to make £1 billion, like,
and to recover the tarnished name that the last trilogy gave us.
So, this film has to be standalone, doesn't it? It has to be standalone enough to work on its own and as a trilogy, like Jurassic World. And
let's face it, if this film is good enough, and we get another film, etc., and it works out that this is such a good franchise, it opens up for Universal's new theme park to get a Jurassic Island.
Yeah.
TV show as well.
Yeah, it just opens up the franchise. If Fast and Furious can get 10, 11 films or wherever it's at now, why can't we get that input from Universal?
Yeah. Because it's really difficult to make dinosaurs drive motor cars. That's why.
Well, you never know.
You never know, indeed. It's a real tough one because obviously I'm with you. I'm with everyone. I'm with Allosaurus in the chat. I wouldn't like that plot either, and I do think, but I'm also thinking to sell toys. Like Blue sells toys. Blue is the Grogu of Jurassic. And it's unless they're going to come up with another way.
That's what I was going to say. They'll just come up with a different dinosaur that's
come
just
up
as
with
cute.
a different dinosaur that's just as cute or just as has that attachment.
But
I don't want it.
They can make their money from the characters. Like
everything that Matt's doing with his face is I agree with and I don't want. I think that's what made. I think that's what ruined the Jurassic World trilogy is having that. Is I guess nerfing.
If they bring back
dinosaurs,
Blue, they bring back Rex.
Yeah.
And as much as I love Rexy, because obviously just nostalgia, because she's been there from '93. Just be gone with them now. Like Rexy, she should have been dead long ago. Blue Eye was dead. Don't want them.
I think it's been another 5 years as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think where was she last?
Italy.
Bryson Valley, wasn't it?
No,
well, now the Giga's dead. She's the main.
Blue,
she's the.
I'm talking about Blue. She was up in.
Blue was
Blue.
in the mountains.
She had to go a long way from that snowy environment to find somewhere suitable. Like it's just, it's ridiculous. So, can you imagine the outrage if one of the first scenes was her rotten corpse?
Or just like.
I would also commend the brave writing of that, actually.
Yeah, and then she's at beta as well.
I would rather see that than see her die.
Yeah, me too.
Because
I suppose
not that I would get emotionally attached to a fake dinosaur anyway.
But it has, you think, how old were we? We were 6.
Yeah.
When Rexy came out.
So she would be 31 years old.
Yeah.
And that's just on screen.
31 years.
That's on screen as well.
Yeah.
That's not even including how old she's meant to be in the film.
She was born in 88, was she?
Something like that, yeah.
So I mean,
if the opening scene is Rexy taxidermied on somebody's wall.
Should be 36. actually, she would be 36 years old in 2023. So she'd actually now be 2 years ahead in 2025 because this movie's set 2 years ahead of real time.
Yeah, so 2027.
So she's 40.
Yeah,
I'm trying
so
to
she'd be.
the current theory on T-Rex ages. I'm sure I want to say it's like 40 or 50 years old is the estimated age of how old a T-Rex could get.
I thought it was about like 30 years old.
Yeah, but
unless
it could probably
Rexy's hitting a midlife crisis, and she does end up driving a car, and this is how we get the Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
The ending scenes of Vin Diesel just matter like
That's exactly that.
And that's how she dies. She wraps a car around a tree.
Yeah.
Crossover.
So, shall we move on to final thoughts then?
Yes, why not? So for me, final thoughts are I'm really, really looking forward to this movie, and I can't wait to see what they do with a trailer. I'm guessing the trailer will come out, Super Bowl? Do you think we'll get anything before then?
November.
When's Super Bowl, Steve?
February.
You think we'll get something as soon as November?
Yeah, I think we'll get a teaser in November.
You might get a TV spots.
Maybe December.
I don't want TV spots.
No.
I just hope Universal don't absolutely ruin the marketing of this film, because every other film that we've had, so Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, every single TV spot, we know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. We've sat there and gone, we've seen this film.
Yeah.
The TV spots, the trailers need to have a dinosaur roaring, black, and then Jurassic World Rebirth.
Yeah.
June. Done.
I might get a little bit more now, no point, but because we already know that, but maybe something, or just a piece of dialogue or something.
As long as they don't throw out the very first hint of this is what we're actually doing here. It just tells the whole synopsis in that one little teaser.
Right, so here's an example. Did you guys watch the Rise of Skywalker trailer?
Yes.
Thank you, Star
When
Wars.
at the end, and you had the Palpatine laugh at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you saying about this.
Something like that would be great with a roar, and you're like, oh my god, is that the Giga roar, or is that the spike? Do you know what I'm saying?
Someone's going to go, is that a T-Rex? And you go, no, it sounds bigger.
Yeah. And then it cuts to black, and then it's the roar. That I'm not saying that idea would be good, but I just do think something like I just remember how mad the fan base went of Star Wars when that laugh came on at the Star Wars celebration thing. So
I think just make a trailer up that has nothing to do with the film at all.
Yeah. Disney are quite good at trailers, though. That's the thing with Disney. You can watch a whole trailer of something made by Disney, and you not have a clue of what's going on in the plot. Planet of the Apes is a prime example. Now Fox have taken it, and Alien Romulus as well. Both of those films are superb, and I didn't get an ounce of what was going on in the trailer. I just was just in awe of just visuals. I was just like, yeah, that looks sick. That looks sick. That looks sick. That looks brilliant. Oh yeah, they've got the face huggers. They've got a pack of them. Brilliant. That's going to be good. You don't have any context of anything. You just see stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you go into them films both blind, really, and both of them are Fox. I think both of them are Fox Studios, but I know Alien was. So Disney have a good one with trailers. They're pretty good.
So we agreed that hopefully trailers don't spoil it.
Yep.
Looking forward to it. Don't like the title, but looking forward to it.
We aren't ruined by returning characters, either dinosaurs or humans.
Yeah.
And it's
dinosaur humans.
For me, title is okay, but I need context of it. I hope they don't just blow over. It's just a random title that makes no sense to the plot of the story. I like the badge logo. I like the fresh sort of turquoisey sunrise sort of style to it. It's very different.
Like I said, it's fresh and it's crisp. It's good.
I love the casting from the two main characters. I think I like the black guy. I think he's great in most films he's in, and I like Scarlett obviously in everything she's done. So I think
questionable about some Marvel, but I'm not really a Marvel.
Yeah, but she's still good in Marvel films, ain't she? She's still good. And obviously, kids are just kids.
Yeah.
They're going to be. They're not going to die, are they? So it's just going to be about saving them, and someone's going to be a hero, aren't they?
Exactly that.
I'm excited.
As long as the girl doesn't kick a raptor out of a window, I'll be happy.
Right, genuine question though, because one of the polls has come in already, and it came out as 47% hype was between 9 and a 10. 26% of the votes, of 23 votes, were off the Jurassic scale. 17% was 6 to 8, and 8% was meh on their excitement level. All right, where was yours? Mine falls between. I'm going to go with. I'm actually going to go off the scale.
I'm at 9 to 10.
Yeah, so I'm 9 to 10.
I think 9 to 10 is safe because I'm definitely excited, but off the scale.
The thing that's worrying me is that obviously with the backlash that Dominion got, the backlash that Fallen Kingdom got, that they're overhyping this film. Like, oh yeah, we got Scarlett Johansson. This is like the best thing. Every little thing that's been released, they're like, oh yeah, this is amazing. This is awesome. You know, look at this and that. I just feel like they're throwing too much at it to try and go, look, you know, we get it. The last films weren't great. This one's going to be good. And I just hope that it doesn't fall short.
Yeah. I'll get that worry. I guess 9 and 10 is a safe bet, though, isn't it? I think with me, it's probably actually I'd say my off the scale hype was for talking about this film more than actually was coming. So
and it's been a while since we've had a talk. So.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a proper chat, isn't it?
Yeah.
For me personally, I'm actually in the meh camp. Actually,
really? Wow.
Mainly because I'm so drained after the Fallen Kingdom and Dominion fiascos that everything was hyped up. I was looking forward to it, saw the films, and then was disappointed afterwards. And I'm going into this film with a bit of a cautionary footing this time. So rather than getting like, oh, it's going to be like the first film, it's going to be brilliant, it's going to be wonderful, nostalgia, blah. I'm learning very quickly now that Universal are pumping out content that they think the fans want, as opposed to listening to the fans and giving them a version of what they want, but it's better rather than exactly what they want. At the moment, it just feels like, yeah, you like raptors, yeah, well, we've got blues everywhere. Oh, you like the T-Rex? Oh, yeah, Rex everywhere. Chris Pratt's hats. It's just like, yeah, we don't, yeah.
Yeah, I think like with the Chris Pratt thing, and you know, they were definitely on that bandwagon of superhero, weren't they?
Yeah.
And I think that's what the thing about the original trilogy had, is that although we had our characters that we loved, like Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm, they were more of they weren't heroes, were they?
No.
Like the first film, Alan Grant became a hero as part of his arc, but we didn't look at them in the same way as we look at Chris Pratt.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So I guess
stare down the T-Rex, stick his hand out, and be like, "Clever girl," or anything like that, did he? He was kind of like through the flare, stood still, and went to rescue the kids.
He was just the paleontologist that had a little bit more of an idea than anyone else, didn't he?
Yeah, and that's all he needed.
None of us have a clue what the hell's going on, but you know a little bit more than us because you know dinosaurs better than us. Other than that, that was about where it lied.
Exactly. So there we are.
Let's end it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all in all, pretty much happy. Can't wait to see what happens, and the fact that it's under a year, can't wait.
Yep.
We've got Chaos Fury next, haven't we?
I think we do. Yeah. When's that?
I think it might be November, maybe even December.
Okay. So I'm excited. Actually, pretty excited for that. I enjoy Chaos Theory more than
Dominion, I think.
Yeah.
Matt, you need to give it a go. It's so much better. Oh, you have?
Yeah,
it was better, wasn't it?
Spacious, but it's just still like Yeah.
Go on then, Steve. Sorry.
Yeah. No. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. And just one thing left to say.
Life.
Find a way.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye
Take care.
bye.